No, not quite that scale, but yes. Picking up on the nautical traditions then.
This is the biggest thing about Portugal is, of course, the mainland Portugal, but so much of it is the ocean, right? And the coastlines. And I did put that in that little video. It's a little long. We can go through it fast, but at the end, the stunning cliffs. Yeah, the stunning cliffs of Lagos. Yeah, look at that. They're just beautiful. And all those little coves you can only get to by boating into them. Because, if you look at them, there's just no way down.
Amazing. So are you captaining this boat as we watch here?
It's my friend and I. We took turns. So she would captain it. I would video. Then see, there she is. Hi, Melissa. That's my friend, Melissa. I came home from renting a boat at Lake Alquiver, Alquiver, Alquiver. And I was like, I'm going to get a boating license because they kind of give you one for the day, which I thought was strange. And I said, I'm going to get one. She says, I've been wanting to get one. So I said, let's do it. We looked up all the classes in the Algarve, settled on this as our favorite. And I'm going to plug him, Robert, at Algarve. Oh, I'll have to put up the link. Algarve boating, but he's with the Royal Yachting Association. So
this looks like such fun. Is that him there?
Yeah. And this is important. Look at this idiot that passes us on the right on the channel. This other idiot, excuse me, I'm usually not this mean, passes us on the left. Here she is training. Two are coming behind us. They leave this huge wake. Basically, you're getting an example in the most unsafe thing you can do, because we're talking
about water for a trainee. Yeah.
Well, it's just rude. It's bad. It's just bad.
Who are these people?
Idiots. They're not nice people.
Right. Okay.
Amazing. I don't say idiot a lot, but man, that was my word for these guys. And look, he does tuck in behind the other one. But, here's Melissa. Finally, the captain's like, our trainer's like, I've got the boat. He's like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
I'll take it from here, my dear.
Yeah, yes. He's got like 7 people coming in at one time. It was insane. And they're just taking these tourists.
Was that unusual then? Was that an unusual situation that you had to deal with?
No, I think it's the time you're coming in and out. All of these boats have loaded up their tourists because, we've been out all morning. We get out in the morning, first thing. These guys are getting the tourists to go, on all their tours. You see them lined up, all those booths there.
Yeah.
Because really the water is where you see everything. You see people standing over the top of those cliffs, at the beginning, and they're looking down, but you can't see anything versus what we saw from the water looking in. It's just stunning.
It is. What a wonderful idea. So there you are. So you are now a captain.
So yeah, for boating 1 and 2. So power boating, not sailing. Sailing's a whole different animal.
Oh yeah.
And there's my friend Melissa. She was the one that said, I'll do it too.
She looks pleased with herself, and rightly so.
Oh, she's just happy and delightful. That was us getting our certificates. Then they had like a little movie night. And then here we are drinking afterwards going, yay, cheers.
Yeah, very nice.
Lots of wind in Lagos. Remember, the West Coast has a ton of wind in the afternoon. So
yeah, okay. So that was the best place to go and learn, was it, in Lagos?
For me and the class that we called a few. One was Portuguese, so you couldn't get the ICC, which is the international license. The Royal Yachting Association, your British one, is pretty well known around the world. So if it's not recognized, you can just file a paper with them and get the ICC one. If you have the Portuguese one, it's good in Portugal, but they are not reciprocal to others. And
so Britannia still rules the waves then.
Yeah, and I'm not well versed enough to take a class in Portuguese when we're talking technical, charts, waterways.
Let me just look that up on Google Translate.
Yeah, forget about. We just go straight to the scary part, and then this is us walking around Lagos, the little movie in the park, and it's kind of fun. You put headsets on, you get wine and beers, and yeah.
I'm very glad of this bit of context because part of our conversation this morning, I think you referred to it as a yellow warning. Yeah. Things have changed a bit, haven't they, just recently for people moving to and thinking about Portugal. But we do need to, it's all relative. We need to remind ourselves that this is still a fabulous country to come to with all these incredible things you can do even though there are some interesting things happening around migration and obviously the big world picture as well and how that affects Portugal. But look, this video is just showing that you're having the most amazing time here, and people still can do that, despite a few other influences that seem to be developing around the edges. That's a nice cheers at the end there, isn't it? So what a lovely moment to end the video on there. So yes, from that then, and Captain Veronica in the Algarve to this. So I don't know if I'm making too much of a big deal of this, but the yellow, we're under yellow, Captain.
Yellow flag, talking about beach flags. Remember, learn your beach flags if you're going out on the beach. But yellow flag is definitely, it's not for everybody anyway, but it's for the right people, because we don't want people to come here and be grumpy and angry and not be patient and expect everything to be the same as where you're at. But if you have really wanted to come here, you've investigated it, somebody hasn't sold you on it. I'm finding there's still these online platforms that are pushing you. It's so easy, it's so cheap, it's unrealistic. And I think you have to be realistic. You've got to be real. And right now my yellow warning is because Chega, the new political party, we have one too, right? We got one last December in 2023 that took over in January. They changed NHR like that. Then we have the ones now saying, oh, we're going to slow down immigration. Does that affect us or not? We're not sure. But I think if you were in it for the long haul and you know you want to be here and you've properly investigated it, which I think a lot of your British are because they've come here for so long. Yeah. It's different than, let's say, coming from America, where you could, sell your home, start your process, and then things change. And the big change that they're discussing, which hasn't happened yet, is that 5-year to 10-year permanent residency.
That's news at the moment, isn't it? And there, we had the first sort of rumblings about that a month or two ago. I learned of that through Rodolfo Pelicano, the lawyer, Daniel Reyes, similarly, saying, well, we're hearing of this. Don't know if it'll ever come to anything. And this is how it happens sometimes, isn't it? It's actually, yes, it is coming to something. And often there's a political updraft with it, isn't there? It's a bit of sort of political maneuvering. That might go down well with the electorate. Let's keep this alive. And actually, yes, I think it's a proposal now that will be put before the Parliament, the extension to 10 years for citizenship. What are you hearing, Veronica, on that? Are people who applied before this change sort of grandfathered into the shorter timescale still?
I haven't heard anything, and I really hate to comment on anything, because even if you comment on it, it could change, right?
Right. Yes.
And if it changes and people come back and they're like, but you said this. And so I always like to say, until it's in writing, we don't want to encourage or discourage people. I mean, people need to make their own decision anyway. We're just kind of telling our story and how we feel and what we like and why it's been fabulous for us. And I've been great years, right? But I think, you've just gotta be prepared for change, because change is always constant, right? The people who were on their way over that were already in the process, they got hit with the NHR disappearing, and many of them were able to get their attorneys to grandfather that in even after December into January and February. The Joneses, we love them dearly, which came from your channel. They came here to our town. We found them an apartment for...
Oh, yeah, Trevor and Shannon.
Yes, I love Trevor. They are so great. They were such lovely people. It was time for their 2-year update, and they couldn't get an appointment, and they finally said, forget it. And they're now just traveling the world as global nomads.
Well, isn't that an interesting response? I was hosting a webinar for Expats Portugal, and they were on it, and it was something to do with finding out about timescales. And it was almost in that moment that they announced that they kind of confirmed their decision, or so it appeared to me, that screw this. we're not gonna sit here and be anxious about that. We've been given a lemon, let's make some lemonade. And they've got global nomad lemonade drinkers, haven't they?
Yeah, but they were never 100% in as far as housing goes. They were in the 8-month rental. So now it's also summer, where it's going to be hard to get a summer rental. And I think that tied in with they were still discovering and exploring the world, and they don't need to settle down and own a place here or have a long-term rental. I think they still have such amazing wanderlust. We're talking about Turkey, and they're going to go to I think they're fun to watch because they're going to go to a lot of crazy places. Did they tell you what was on their list?
No, but it sounds very exciting.
Goodness. They're going things that end in Stan, I was always told, to be politically.
They're going there, are they?
They're going to some of the stands. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. Challenging the propaganda. Very good. That's exciting, isn't it?
So I think it's a yellow light. And the reason I say yellow is because if you're long-term wanting to move here, you've been trying to move here, you're interested. It's not just this knee-jerk, things are political in my country. Guess what? Things get political here too. Well, It's not just a knee-jerk or, I can live there for $1,000 a month, which is very tough to do today. Do you know anyone doing it for that cost?
Not in my town. not in yours.
You could go way up in the hills somewhere and rent somebody's room, and there's things to it, but you're not going to live in the center of Lisbon or on a beach or river, and still pay if you have taxes.
It's not 2015.
No,
I think it's in a phrase,
because you and I moved here at the same time, right? Which was 2017.
2017, that's right. Yeah, and it is interesting, and I should have known. Things change, like you're saying. Change is constant, and that brings with it things we need to be aware of, and we're detailing a little bit of that now. And I appreciate you for that, because I think I'm a bit too possibly. I'm nostalgic and sentimental and like, it's changing. No, it mustn't change. But it is. It really is. And it's not just the country. It is the global context, of course, that everyone's keeping an eye on as well, that's having an effect. So you do absolutely right, Veronica, to warn the people on your list about this. Well, not warn, but sort of make people aware. Be open and authentic about what's going on here now, right?
And I think that's the beauty of what we do. We're not AI bots. We were joking, off camera. Right. I'm like, my hair is weird today. And he's like, when AI comes out, we can fix that. So I was like, Carl, can you fix my hair? And he's like, in the future. But the reality is people like authentic. They like our mess ups when we say and duh. They know it hasn't been polished and perfected. This is live. We're human. We live here. We are not bots. Look closely. You can see the wrinkles, the bags under my eyes from drinking too much last night again. Hello, Stephanie.
Well, suddenly everyone's interested again. Drinking late into the night in the sunshine. Yeah, it sounds okay to me. How do we get over there? And I like the phrase you use, being sold. That's very interesting, and it does happen, doesn't it? People can get caught up in a kind of sales process. So you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to be realistic and find people who will give you an authentic, realistic view of what's going on here, which is what Veronica does.
Yeah, well, and I don't think that we're negative. I think we're just real. When people were going negative to get all the big hits, it was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer because things were going great then. And people would type in and they'd come up with why you shouldn't move to Portugal and da-da-da. It was actually a spin on why you should move to Portugal. But it's like, if someone just did a quick search, or if the AI, takes all those headlines, it would be 90% of people are saying they hate Portugal, right? Yeah, and it's like, that's an untripped truth. It's a marketing scam. Just be honest, be authentic. And I think that's where in the future, what you and I do is going to be extremely important, and engaging the audience. I talk too much.
No, I'm interested to hear more about that. On that note, Dave in Portugal sent me I reviewed one of his videos in my Portugal resident column, and I wasn't exactly complimentary. I mean.
He's the one doing a lot of negative, but does beautiful editing, right? So you think, this is professional. It must be true. His videos are fun. He knows how to make it work on YouTube. That's the bottom line. And he dropped me a line to say he really appreciated how I'd gone about reviewing his video in an honest way. So I must reach out back to Dave. What did you say? I gotta know.
I was a bit, it's like people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, for one thing, because I'm susceptible to a bit of clickbait. I like a few views myself. Don't get many, but I was quite objective. No, I wasn't. I was very straight about what I thought about his video style and others of that kind, who he didn't say this, but we know if it hasn't been made already, there is the Portugal is over video, isn't there? Just the 3 words on a clickbaity screen, maybe some flames in the background or something like that. And that's the world of YouTube. That's how it works. But he sort of complimented me on standing my ground and saying what I really thought about it and not bowing to, the algorithm, as it were. But I understand at the same time, if you're on YouTube and you want to be successful on YouTube, you've got to work with the algorithm. That's how it works. Carl will be joining us in a moment. I don't know if he's a victim or a victor when it comes to the algorithm. He's had a little bit of heat on social media recently, so I'm interested to talk to him about that. But AI, just very quickly, Veronica, you're saying we're safe, you and us as influencers, as it were, talking about our lives in Portugal. You don't see AI being a threat to that, and or how do you see it changing? Another way of asking the question.
So I think at first people were really threatened and, oh my gosh, AI, everything is perfect. Everything is polished. It's been edited to the hilt. There's fake videos. You can type in and tell it to do anything and, make an elephant walk across our little beach here. And people go, oh, there's elephants, or I want an elephant ride when I'm in the Algarve. And I see people just posting every day these beautiful shots, and people are like, hey, that's fake, da, 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 da. And I think the big thing is that I've already seen it through travel communities. So travel bloggers, booking.com already ditched all their content people and said they're just going to do digital content. So all the people that were referring people to them, oh, we miss you.
Yes. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Anna.
I used to be a booking.com referrer, and they said you no longer fit in with who we're looking for.
Because they want all the perfect polished, and why should they give you a referral fee? Because you're promoting an area where everybody's coming to your site and you've given them a referral fee and people are using Booking. Why should they pay you if they can just pay a bunch of bots? I think what they're going to realize is the sites are now being overloaded with this bot stuff because people can just generate a lot. They can generate it fast, and people are just overwhelmed with fake news and fake stuff. And I could sit here and write 20 fake articles right now in 10 minutes. I could just say, AI, give me an article on this, and this. It's not going to have the funny little anecdotes. It's not going to have a point of view. It's not going to have my perspective, which is different than yours, right? Yes. As a British person coming here or an American person, it's going to be too perfect. And people that were obsessed with perfection with a human are going to realize we're all imperfect. And I don't want to idolize a computer. I want to get real stories and real life anecdotes from a real life human living there with similar experiences. I can make everything perfect and polished all day too. I can take and make it to where I'm just a bot and say, hey, bot, go on Carl's show today. And here's my basic style. But you're not going to get the funny little stories and me talking way too much.
I would miss that. And so would Carl. Let's watch the video now that caused a little bit of controversy, I think, just recently on his Insta. He's an Insta babe, is Carl. I've not gone there, but he does, and I think it caused a little bit of heat. So let's see what the video is. Fairly offensive, 30 seconds. A video in a back garden in Lisbon. Let's find out if he's still hurting after we hear this.
So I'm in Lisbon, looking for a new place for a family that are moving from the US, and we've got this beautiful T3 apartment. It's fantastic inside, but I just wanted to show you the outside. It's not often you get an outdoor space like this. Yeah, must be about 80 meters, I reckon, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. There are just not many spaces like this in the city. So a real rare treat. Child friendly. Fantastic.
Superb. Let's give a nice big round of applause and bring him onto the screen. Mr. Carl Hyde, everybody. Oh, let's put you up there. I can't see you then. Right, how are you? Tudo bem?
I'm good, yeah. Kids are off today because is it a national holiday or a local one? I never know. But
national.
Is it? What's happening today? I missed that on my newsletter this morning.
I don't know. We've only had 4 other holidays so far this month, so I can imagine what it is.
You don't sound entirely happy about it, my friend.
I see enough of them, to be honest with you, Carl.
Well, you need your own podcast, The Grumpy Dad, I think, as well. A very nice video, nice back garden. Enjoy the construction sounds of Lisbon and your own little oasis there, right? Very nice place. You got a bit of heat. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine by me, to be honest with you. I mean, the thing
He's
is,
British. He can handle it.
Handle
California, we get all stressed out about it. He's like, it's heat. It's fun.
He's got it.
Well, I mean, I sort of caught the last few minutes of what you were talking about there. And the thing is, the algorithm really does love it. So when this first started happening to me like 6 months ago, when I thought, getting quite a bit of blowback here. And then I sort of did a bit of research. Thought, well, no, it's what the system actually wants. So the vast majority of interactions are actually positive, likes, and I got a lot of new followers from it. But there are some people that just they wrote almost full essays about why I'm the problem, and why it's all about me.
I knew it. So you're the problem, are you?
Yeah.
Why are they saying you're?
I had a sneaky suspicion myself, but there you go. It's been confirmed. So they write these essays, and then you get into a little. I always got to keep it polite, obviously, and that's the only way I would do it. But you get your basic stuff, go home, which okay, I already am home. But then you get the people saying this is the exact problem, why the country's in such a mess, and I'm thinking. I understand that some people here, a lot of people struggle to afford housing. I understand that wages are too low. Completely agree with that. I don't know what the answers to that are. I don't work in government. That's a government level kind of issue. But I don't think the problem is people with relatively wealthy people coming here and investing in homes and spending their wealth here. I don't see how that's the problem. If the country didn't have that, if everybody went home tomorrow, then I think it'd be on its knees within 6 months. Because
it doesn't need to be
the economy.
Either or. It doesn't have to be either or, does it? We can make this pie bigger and tastier all the time. I think. Very interesting. The Godfather is here. Good morning. I think I sold that apartment in 2014, said Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I know, listen, it was a very nice outdoor space, and I know it's overlooked, so I'm not blind to it, but obviously I get those comments then, which I love the sarcastic ones. I mean, I'm British, I'm English, so sarcasm is just, it's bred into us, so keep piling it on.
It hurts me.
That's right. If you feel like giving Carl a bit of heat this morning in the comments, go ahead. He's ready. He's ready for you. More importantly, did they like it? Did your clients like the home that you were working so hard to find them there?
They did, but it didn't work out. Okay. So that's about it. I asked the listing agent before I took the video. I always do. So I have their approval. But no, it's a great place. Yeah. If you're working in a supermarket in Lisbon, or you're working as a receptionist at a hospital or something like, you're not going to be able to afford it. There's no doubt about that. It's in an expensive part of town. But they did love it. They were actually visiting. They were here for a few weeks. Showed them quite a few properties, and we're almost. We had an agreement yesterday in an apartment for them. So that's another family that are going to be moving here and just love it and can't wait to, not just, they want to take part in the life here. They're asking about schooling and all these kind of other things that they want to experience it. So
wonderful. People
should take a step back a bit, I think, and just see, try and see the positives. It's definitely not all negatives.
No, and I think we were having this conversation before you joined us, Carl and Veronica. I think that's another way of looking at this, isn't it, Veronica? It's like, okay, let's not get too excited. Let's not be too. Let's have a good look at what's going on. And Carl clearly urging clients to do the same sort of thing. Generally speaking, a bit of context, Carl, what is going on? What have you noticed? Because it's a rapidly changing picture, of course. We have this Q&A every month. How are things this month, June 2025? we said before, it's not 2015. Things have changed a lot, but I think things are changing month by month. Anything you're noticing in this summer of 2025?
I mean, I would say I can compare it to like my first year in real estate, which is 3 years ago, when, for example, we were doing rentals for people and it was just off the charts crazy, where, you know, if a place was listed for 2,000, the only way you were going to get it is if you went in and offered a little bit over, maybe, you know, and were quite aggressive. So if people are looking to come here from the US, and I've got a lot of people at the minute coming from the US, and they want to rent first. Most of them do anyway. And the market's just a little softer for that. So I'm finding more room to negotiate on prices. So you can go in and I wouldn't say lowball, but, you know, push that price down a little bit and try and get the terms a little bit more in your favor. So that's something that's different. But aside from that, I mean, just typically for this time of year, it's just very, very busy. You know, this is the time when families are really pressing to get over here, and, you know, they want to get the kids here in time for the new school year in September and things like that. So it just starts ramping up. And I've got to say, personally, from a personal perspective, I've never been busier. So
good for you. And presumably, as part of letting people know realistically what's going on in Portugal, that things are going to slow down now as we go into July and August. It's not going to be easy to get things done. So those people who are keen to get here, get their kids into schools, they need to get on with it, don't they? Because there's going to be we're going into the quiet time where everybody's off work.
Yeah. That I think people don't realise that things do kind of slow down. The surprise that, you know, I mean, local restaurants will close for the full month sometimes. I've known that happen. But when you talk about professionals and things like that, then yeah, people save up their holidays and maybe they're going to go wherever they go. You know, they'll be gone for 2 weeks. So even though an office, you'll say, I don't know, a lawyer's office may be operational, it's kind of at half speed maybe. So things will slow down. So just be aware of that. Don't just think, well, you know, I'll have all this time in the school holidays to get everything done. I would definitely get ahead of the curve now. Yeah,
do those
plan for holidays. We're doing some paperwork with my renters, and they're like, "Oh, we need this, and this before we go back to the States to go to their appointment because they're here on their Schengen. Then they're going to go back because they have their appointment with the embassy or the consulate." And they said, "Oh, we've got 2 weeks." I said, "Let's look at the holiday schedule." You know, and there's like 4 holidays this month. So to our point, today's a holiday, right? You got to look at all those things. And I say, just get things done early, and then you've got everything done. Don't wait. Don't be Portuguese about it with your paperwork and stuff. Just do it.
It's a good point, because last week with the 2 holidays, I think we had 2 in Lisbon. Like I said, they all just merge into one for me. I'm not a fan of public holidays. But basically, you lose the entire week almost, because, of course, and you can't blame them. People will say, well, the Monday's a bank holiday, so I'll take the Tuesday. The Thursday's a bank holiday, so I'll take the Fridays. And really, you lose an entire week. And if you're in a rush, then, you know, so make yourself aware of the public holidays in Portugal. It will affect. If you're flying in from, I mean, I'm actually going to meet clients today in Lisbon. We're just going to have lunch and discuss what their needs are going to be. I didn't realise myself it was a holiday. You know, so check the calendar and see if you want to do important things when you arrive here, if things are going to be open, basically, because you're going to lose.
And you still do them first. Plan a lot of time and do them first. Please, please, please. We had one. I was working with a Portuguese agent. I've now course corrected to one here locally that's Dutch. Sorry, but the Portuguese are really relaxed, and we love them for that. But in business, it can be tricky because they pushed everything to the end of the month, and I kept saying, no. They can move in 2 weeks early. The communication wasn't there to close the deal 2 weeks early, so they pushed it to the day before they were meant to get out of their apartment. So now you've only got 1 day to move, and then boom, you know what hits? We had that power outage. Things you can't even. So if you don't plan a lot of extra time for stuff, real life, not just, you know, the lovely lifestyle that we love in Portugal that's more relaxed and, oh, we'll do it tomorrow, it'll be fine. If you don't plan that extra buffer, I guarantee you, you're going to burn your deadlines, which is really bad when you're talking about, I'm now homeless for a day. So I've got to take all my stuff. I can't move it into my new place. I've got to now have my moving company that's been scheduled to move me into a hotel or find storage in a day, to then be able to move in for whenever the close does happen. Because now, even if the notary could sign on that day with the electronics issue, it doesn't matter, because, you know, he couldn't get into the systems to do everything. So now what he would have done in that day, in addition to those clients, have pushed to the next day, which could push to the next day, to the next day, because you don't know that closing is just going to happen the next day.
That's the thing. And the example you're giving is an extreme example with the power outage. How many times I've been to deeds, or not just me, but colleagues, where you get there and there's one document that's just not quite right for whatever reason, and you end up having to come back the next day or maybe in 3 days. So, I mean, this happened to me when I moved here.
Wow.
My entire life was packaged up into crates on its way from the UK.
Yeah.
And, you know, the bank just started to sort of go slow. I remember I actually went into the branch, this was a few days after we went to moved in, and said, listen, am I going to get this house? And they're like, I don't know, Mr. Carl. And I was like,
no.
Yeah, and I think things have definitely improved since then. And my bank in particular at the time was absolutely woeful. But you do have to be aware of that. I did do a deed last week for a family, but they were here for a very short trip to get that signed. And it's like, we're going to do it on, I think it was the 9th. And they flew in a few days before. They had a lot of things to do. But we're going to visit a school in the morning. We want to do this. The deed was at midday, and then they're flying back out at 6 p.m.
Wow.
And I was nervous about it, because I thought so many things can go wrong. Many things can go wrong. But I just triple, quadruple checked everything, and luckily everything was okay. But even during that process, you sat there, you're just watching the notary and looking for that slight frown, and you think, oh, no. But, yeah.
Don't worry, AI is going to sort all that out. I don't know. I mean, that's if Portugal doesn't break AI and send it crying back into cyberspace.
We say, to his point, though, again, give extra time, be prepared. And his experience, I think all of our experience, yours, Carl's, mine too, of what not to do is helping the people that we're helping. So as to his point, he said, well, I'm not using that bank anymore. We've gone through the crap or seen the crap. So we're avoiding those places like the plague, because we've had bad experience. So you don't need to live the bad experience yourself when you have experience, you know, and say, we found.
Including which broadband company?
Perfect all the time. Of course not. We plan extra time. We're prepared. We pack our patience. But to Carl's point, we've already been there, done that. Don't go through all the pain points. Use an experienced person.
Very good. A couple of things.
In my office, they must joke about me because I'm so paranoid. Every time there's a deal approaching, I'm like, is everything okay? Are we sure? Can we check? Can I ask about this? And they must think, oh my God, Carl, please just relax.
And that's why he is known as Carl the Sunbeam Hyde in professional circles. Right, a couple of things before we conclude today. Dutch professionals and airports, right? So let's do airports first. I've got a reputation now for, if someone sends me a video from the airport, I will put it up on my YouTube channel. And I was sent one a couple of days ago. Lisbon, incoming 5-hour wait on standing up, a stand-up 5-hour wait. And when my friend Alim got to the passport control, the guy was just on shift. He said, have you been waiting long? I said, after all that.
Are you aware of your surroundings, sir?
5 hours. Really? That's a long. It's like that's quite a long time to be standing up, isn't it? So, and I saw leaving the Algarve the other day, massive queue to get out. So be careful. And you're telling people about this as well, Veronica, right? To plan. Well, what can you do? You can't really. Well, you can stay hydrated and maybe bring an inflatable bed and a book or something. But there are big delays. The airports are not working well at the moment.
But so trick one is do not fly into Portugal direct if you can. So if you're coming from further away, fly into another country, because coming domestically. So I was just in Berlin and then the UK and back here. And so flying to Berlin and back, no problem. It's domestic. You just walk through. Nobody checks your passport when you're here. In Germany, of course, they check it. to make sure you're still okay on Schengen and all of that. And then when you're coming from the UK, that's now out of the Schengen zone, right? When you're coming from Great Britain. So we popped up to London. My son was visiting, so we popped up to London, looked around London. When I came back, Faro, even for EU citizens, had about a 45-minute wait, and because that's international. Now they only had one line for people from the entire EU. Okay. Then there was one for disabled, and then there was the wraparound line for people from the UK or from
I got a little trick actually to get past that.
Okay.
Yeah. I just tell them I'm
pregnant.
I do have a video. I don't know if it's too late for you to pop it up, Carl. I'm sending it over now from the airport, showing the airport. It might be too late, but I'm
happy to pop that up. We can
so
go out.
I shot down from immigration and avoid Lisbon, because Lisbon has the most international flights, right? So a lot of the ones coming into Faro or Porto. Now, if you've got to go to Lisbon, you've got to go to Lisbon, right? If you're coming to see these guys. But if you're going to the other places, if you can fly direct into there some way. So my friend that was on the video, her husband flies from she's from South Africa. He's United Arab Emirates. He flies into Geneva, clears Schengen there, and then just pops in domestic here. So if there's other places you happen to want to go to first, or instead of a layover, let's say in the United States somewhere, it hits somewhere else with better immigration internationally, and then when you come here, you're domestic.
That's really good advice. But with a caveat, if your Portuguese residency papers aren't in order,
oh no,
it's best to come back straight into Portugal, because Portugal will be more understanding of that, won't they, than other, like Germany, for example.
Well, you might not be able to leave, even in America, if your papers are out of order, you've busted. There's people here that are essentially in jail here, right? They cannot leave the country because there's fear of not being. Now you can drive around, but if you get stopped by a police officer and they're like, well, you've got your passport and it shows, oh, this visa expired 6 months ago, you're essentially illegal in the EU. And that's hit a lot of Americans. And so they're trying really hard to get those AIM appointments. We've got lots of tricks around that. But you essentially are stuck in Portugal because a lot of the airports won't allow you to go into those countries if you've busted your Schengen time, because you're essentially on the Schengen time at that point. Yes. Portugal is okay because they know, they've extended till June, July.
That's our colleagues in IMA. Yeah, they'll say they'll understand it, but the German airport, for example, won't be as understanding. And they're absolutely right not to be, aren't they? Because you're out of order, as it were. You're not complying. And so you might be aware of that as well. So airports worth avoiding, and we will conclude with your airport video. I think that you've sent me there, Veronica. Dutch professionals, Carl. And did you say your hack at the airport is to say you're pregnant?
I did, yeah. Sorry, right. Yeah. And it's believable as well,
Yeah, no, I didn't want to say anything. But in 2025, I mean, it would take a brave official to challenge you on that, right?
It would. You're right. Exactly.
Yeah, okay. You could get highly offended. And
Can we give an important tip?
Yeah.
Go to the bathroom on the airplane before you land, especially in Lisbon or anywhere if you're international entry. Because if you can even get down to where the bathroom is, it's usually for two people if they have one accessible. And if you're meant to wait 4 or 5 hours in immigration, welcome to LAX and New York and places too, Paris, you could be doing the dance for a long time. So if you've got kids, if you've got people with you, and again, international, not domestic, meaning EU to EU, go to the bathroom on the airplane.
Life is about choices and relativity, isn't it? You're thinking to yourself, do I go to the bathroom at the end of a long haul flight, or do I stand for 5 hours needing a pee? You got to weigh these things up very seriously and with some consideration. Right. Kirby Higgs Group over at the agency, me and Carl Hyde, part of that team at the agency. We were looking for, I just wanted to come back to Dutch professionals and the contrast you were making of efficiency there, Veronica, earlier on. We're looking for help in the Azores, and I happen to have found a Dutch estate agent, a real character by the sound of it. And in terms of getting stuff done in this country, on the spectrum of easygoing, Portugal and Portuguese at one end, I think Dutch at the other, right? And in my efforts to reach out to this gentleman in the Azores, he had to. I think he was getting increasingly peed off with me and my communication with him, and ended up saying, "Look, I'm not being offensive, okay? I'm Dutch, and we just need to talk straight here." And this is what you're dealing with, right? If you want something done in Portugal, deal with a seasoned old Dutch real estate agent here. They don't mess about, do they?
Yeah, yeah. If now you've got the perfect blend here, you know, with the Carls, where they can get things done and they're still happy, light, go lucky, and they'll have that fun, sarcastic, but they know how to polish the edges. With the Dutch, it's straight at you. And I love my Dutch friends. I never have to worry what they mean to say because they're honest. But honestly, you know, if you were to look at 6 properties and 3, it's so bad to say it had from different cultures. And you could be like, the property is the same with all of them, same price. You could be like, okay, if you want it done fast, let's go with the Dutch guy. He's going to be up late, working weekends. Like he's not going to sleep till it's done. He's going to be proactive. And that's what I found. We had a really hard client that was looking at everything and then would always want the unrealistic properties. And they got it done. He got it done. This one that was like in a hedge fund and 20 other people had tried to offer on it and they couldn't get to the person who was in charge of the hedge fund. So the attorney couldn't get the right documents and blah, blah, blah. The Dutch one made it happen. Like he was just on it. And my clients are getting this amazing place. It probably should be about $1.5 million for 300,000 because nobody else can do it. It is insane right by the beach. Everyone and they were super persistent. And this guy was just not going to give up. And I think just out of sure, fine, we'll do it. My attorney got with the right person. It's like nobody wants to give up that person that your attorney needs to talk to. It's like, look, we're not trying to steal the deal from you. We need to talk to the right person to give us the right story and documents to make sure this is done legally.
Sounds like every home should have a direct Dutchman occasionally. Going back to like, you know, my hair's a bit messy. Your direct Dutch friend will say, yeah, it's crap. Let's go.
Yeah. How did you like my dinner? It's crap. Yeah. Why'd you cook that?
It's okay. It's okay. Let's go. that's what you'll be dealing with. And yeah, I think the Brits are somewhere in between there. Well spotted, Veronica. Okay, last words to you both then that you'd like to share this month. Ladies first. Veronica, go ahead. Notwithstanding the pregnant lady Carl Hyde. I'm
highly offended. Yeah.
Veronica, please go ahead.
I think, again, just yellow light, what we always say, don't try to time the market. If you want to come here, pack your patience, make sure, as usual, change is always a consistent. Don't freak out if things change. Come here because you want to move here, not leave there, and have a positive attitude and just be accepting that we're in a changing time, and then you'll know it's right for me. If you need everything to be exact and perfect, and maybe it's not for you.
I like your system. I like it. We're on yellow at the moment. The word from VRSA. We're on yellow. Have a think about things. Be a bit more measured and considerate about what you're doing, perhaps. So thank you, Veronica, and we will have your airport video to finish with as well. Carl Hyde, do you need a chair? You okay? Do you need to sit down? Oh, you are sitting down for us. You put your feet up. What have you got for us?
Well, I mean, as you know, I went to Madeira 2 weeks ago. I think I just put a picture in the group. We had a bit of a kind of a launch event there, an open house event. Really beautiful place. First time I've ever been, and I've got to say it's an absolutely spectacular place to go. So if you want somewhere to visit, if you want to see something a little bit different away from the mainland, go visit Madeira. And also the airport, we talked about airports before. I don't travel well. I don't like going through airports, so I always pay for express security. I'm going to have a few glasses of wine before I get on the plane. The 2 things. One is I didn't realize or forgot it's an internal flight, so there was no passport control, which just made it so much easier. It was just, I thought, oh God, I'm running late. It's a big stress. I'm like, where's the gate? I asked somebody when it's an internal flight. You're going to walk down there onto the plane, which was amazing. And then landing and taking off at Funchal, it's the most amazing airport. I mean, you look at it as you're flying in, and it's basically a runway on stilts. And then when you're taking off and you leave and you look and you're thinking, if these engines don't go, then there's not much, room for forgiveness kind of thing. So just an experience.
I never want to travel with you. I never want to travel with you.
That's why I don't travel well, you know what I mean? So that's why I have to have that glass of wine before I get on the plane. But no, visit Madeira. It's a beautiful place. And also know that we've got agents in Madeira working hard, helping people buy places. So, check us out. They're on the Kirby Higgs team at the agency. If you want to get in touch with, through me or Carl, we can connect you with those agents.
There's the great Christopher Kirby Higgs.
Hi, Christopher. And Kirby's his last name. So when it says Kirby, because Kirby's also a first name in the States. Hi, Christopher. Okay. He's so great.
And we've got you've made friends with the DJ here, and I'll play the video of this incredible property here. Yeah, and we can help you. We're looking for help in the Azores, and we can definitely help you in Madeira as well as all over Portugal and the world with the agency and the Kirby Higgs group. But when you're in Madeira and you want a drape for your DJ stand, you just go and grab a few banana leaves. Is that what happened here?
Basically, yeah. I mean, you've got to tell you the view from that property. I mean, it's just all ocean. You're just basically on the side of a hillside, of the cliff, whatever you want to call it, but it's just straight out at the ocean. It's beautiful, really amazing, tranquil place. So.
Okay, let me just share that with everybody. And I've got to turn the music off because it's going to get me a definite ban on YouTube. Instagram, they'll allow it, but YouTube not. But this is where you were, right, Carl?
That's it, yeah. So that's the open house. It's about a 20-minute ride from Funchal. Really amazing property. We had I think it's the Minister of, I forgot who it was now. It's too early in the morning.
Swanky
Minister for Tourism. We had the Minister for Tourism there from Madeira. A real great turnout, fantastic property, and I mean,
hold on a minute.
These are the privileges of this job, you get to do things like this.
Yeah, hang out with the look at you, selfie.
There you go.
Keep that champagne going before you get on the flight.
There you go.
Airport on stilts.
Oh, and also, if you go to Madeira, you've got to try the bolo de caco, which is like it's absolutely out of this world. It really is. And beware of the poncha, because
all of those things can be seen. Carl sent me videos while he was there. They're all up on the Good Morning Portugal YouTube channel. They are some very popular shorts, it has to be said. People loved your trip to Madeira. Carl, thank you. Veronica, thank you. We're going to finish with your video now. See you again next month. Have a great month and a bon dia today. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Faro Airport. I'm just walking from EasyJet. Had a quick hop to London. Over there's Ryanair. I just was there last week to Berlin, and it's so beautiful and warm out, and it's definitely a walk. Many times you'll be hoofing it, so tennis shoes and layers, because it can be cold on the aircraft and it can be hot when you land. I think it's 80 degrees right now, so I have a jacket and a sweater, which I'm about to take off. That's a pretty toasty sun out there. My understanding was it's almost 90 degrees today. And it's a bit of a walk. To walk right there from EasyJet. Last week was Ryanair. Here's British Airways. Okay, I had to take the sweater off. It was hot. Just made it all the way to the end, and you know what? Stairs, look. So I gotta take my luggage apart to hike the stairs. Okay, this is what they've been saying in the newspapers, is that, yeah, there's a definite delay landing in the airport for non-EU passport holders. Now I know why everyone ran off the aircraft, but here it is. Let's see. That's EU, and this is non-EU. Yikers. This is funny. I'm at the airport, and Portugal News talks about using airport issues, and there's a huge queue.
I always say to avoid Europe in the summer months. Definitely come in May and early June and end of September and October for the best time.